Well, I guess today is as good as any day to go to the TV world and fight shadows and stuff. Yeah, this place is pretty much a darker version of my room. Oh well, time to go face off against some shadows. Person! Oh, wait. I should be switching a tarot card right now, not shooting myself in the head. That's Persona Freestyle. I don't have my tarot card on me. Damn it. Wait, this is my other gun. This isn't an invoker. Christ. Something's wrong with me today. How do I keep feeling this stuff? Well, back into the wheel would I go. Video game adaptations are a pretty fickle thing. The majority of the time they pretty much suck, and it's the few and far in between that are at least reasonably good or decent, even if they are not entirely perfect adaptations of their source material. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at an adaptation, or rather, two adaptations that, well, acquit themselves pretty well in an age of really bad video game adaptations. And those are Persona 4 the animation and Persona 4 the golden animation. So, without further ado, let's begin. The story of Persona 4 follows the protagonist, or as he's named by his two adaptations, Yu Akami, as he moves to the small town of Inaba with his uncle and cousin while his parents are out on work-related stuff, but that's not really that important. And it's during this year that he's staying that he goes to high school, makes friends, and with said group of friends investigates a murder mystery. If only my teenager life wasn't that eventful. And through this murder mystery, we learn about the mysterious Midnight Channel, a TV broadcast that obviously goes on at midnight, during a rainy night, in which the victims of this mysterious murderer are shown. But what is really going on here? Especially, well, when our protagonists discover that there's a world behind the TV, full of monsters called shadows, and that they themselves can summon a power of their own, summon a persona, a literal representation of their minds and souls, or something along those lines, that can fight these shadows for them. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and even between all the bonding going on between these friends and all the adventures that our protagonist Yu goes through, there's still the one pressing question: who is the murderer? And just what really is going on in this TV world in the Midnight Channel? The characters of Persona 4 are pretty much among the strongest points, not only because they're all really well fleshed out and interesting among themselves, but because their interactions together are part of the main crux of the show, which is that the bonds between people are what make them stronger. And it's through this that the show really shines with these characters, and it's their interactions that just feel so interesting and genuine. And, well, that's why it's one of the most stronger points of the show. And along with that, well, there's one specific character that's worth talking about, and that's the protagonist Yu, because, well, in the original game, he's a blank slate. You could choose his name, you could choose what he would reply to, and so forth. And it's through this that the writers of the show decided to give him a rather unique personality. He's rather detached and deadpan a lot of the time, but at the same time, he's rather goofy and quite emotional. And it's through this that we just get one of the most interesting and well-done player characters in, well, an adaptation of a video game, to put it bluntly. Oh, whatever. But yeah, the character's just really great. The animation by Studio AIC Aista, that's how I pronounce it, and director Seiji Kishi, who would end up being known for other video game adaptations such as the Danganronpa anime, is pretty solid and consistent, to be completely honest. Nothing really big about it outside of, say, the Persona and Shadow battles, but that's kind of to be expected. But yeah, it's pretty serviceable for what the show is, and if there's anything to really note about it, at least on the art side of things, it would be the fact that just the character designs are a little weird, because everyone just seems to have this weird tan line below their nose for some reason. It's just kind of odd. It's like not something that's terribly distracting or completely ruins the show for anyone, but it's just really weird. And as for the sound side of things, well, the soundtrack is pretty great. A lot of catchy tracks, a lot of, well, just great tracks from the original game, too. And even the opening and endings are really great too, even though I just prefer the first opening and ending the most. I mean, I'd always sing along to the first ending the most just because of how catchy it was during the rap verse and everything. But yeah, the soundtrack's pretty great. The English dub is fan-freaking-tastic. I gotta thank Sentai for even outsourcing this back to Bang Zoom to get the entire cast back, or really just the majority of the cast back. Johnny Young Bosch as Yu, Yuri Lowenthal, Aaron Fitzgerald, Troy Baker / Matt Mercer, you get the point. just a fantastic dub all around, and I definitely recommend watching it. The integration of the gameplay mechanics into these two anime, I'll get to the second anime in a moment, just hear me out here, is a bit of a mixed bag. On the positive side of things, showing off Yu's stats during each eye catch during each episode is a nice way of showing us how well he's improved. And well, the most important part that I feel is really well done is the social links, because that's a main mechanic in the original games, and I feel it's really well done here, especially where it counts. And where it counts is with Yu's relationships with each one of his friends, which they spend a lot of time on during the entirety of the show, and it's where the whole bonds are what make us stronger theme comes in. But on the other hand, they end up spending at least an episode or two on Yu's social links with all the other people he meets across town, and those are still pretty well done too. And, well, showing off these social links in the form of the cards they turn into during both ending themes is a really well done aspect. And, well, that's all I have to say about that, because, well, the social links are pretty great, and I feel like they're pretty well done in this, even though I've never played the original games, even though I have the intention to. But, yeah. But on the negative side of things, it have to be the Velvet Room parts. Opening up each episode by showing off the mysterious Ego and Margaret in the Velvet Room and talking to you, giving him exposition on everything he's done or learned, is an interesting idea on paper, but doesn't really exactly play out exactly how I would like it to in this anime, because Yu never appears in these scenes. It's just Ego and Margaret basically talking to the audience, and that doesn't really count anymore like it is in the game, because if we should have Yu in the room, we should have him being there interacting with them like we expected. It just feels really odd and disconnecting, and well, there's still pretty interesting and good scenes on their own with the whole musical score and just general atmosphere of it all. Like I said, it just feels really disconnecting without having you in the room with them talking. But, well, that's just my thoughts on it. It could be different for anyone else. But if there's anything else to be said about the gameplay mechanics being integrated, it would have to be the second anime adaptation, Persona 4: The Golden Animation. Based on the video game remake of the original game, made for the PS Vita, well, this new anime is basically a new game plus, in that, well, Yu is basically playing out through the original events, but this time under slightly different circumstances. He does various actions and options that you wouldn't be able to in the original if you first play through it, and his stats are completely maxed out as shown in the opening. Not only that, the next episode previews refer to each episode as a memory. But aside from that, the anime is pretty alright. Unfortunately, the biggest downside to it is that it's just not newcomer friendly. How in that respect? Well, it skips over months worth of storylines. That's why, everything that the original anime has covered, it completely skips over because, well, because it's already been covered, so they don't need to. And most of the time it's just really spent on these characters really just hanging out and having fun together. But having fun together with a new character of Marie, who was also introduced in the original Golden game. And it's through this that we get the main overarching plot of this anime, about Marie and her backstory and what exactly makes her so important, and the relationships she has with the entire group. And in that respect, it's still pretty good. Like, she may be a slightly cliched character and sort of tsundere in the points, but she's still pretty interesting and really still makes the plot pretty great. And on the other hand, there's also the social links for Adachi that we also get partway through the show, just showing his perspective on events and his interactions with you. It adds to a really interesting dimension to this entire storyline, and well, without giving much away about what it is about. But otherwise, it's pretty standard all the way too. A1 Pictures does fine animation as usual. The soundtrack is basically the same as before with a couple of extra tracks and a new opening and ending, which are pretty great, I have to admit. And sadly, there is no dub to speak of because Aniplex of America decided not to make one. Not that I completely blame him because this show didn't sell particularly well, but I don't know, it's pretty disappointing. Otherwise, the Japanese voice actors are all still pretty great and I enjoyed them. And overall, it's still a pretty good show. Sadly, it's only a good show if you've watched the original anime or played the original game, because otherwise you're completely going to be confused by everything that's going on. You won't understand a thing, well, you could barely understand it. Well, barely understand a thing, basically. And in that respect, it's unfortunate, but going from it as someone who's watched the original anime, I appreciated it for what it was, and well, if you ever watched the original anime or played the original game, then go ahead and watch this too, and at least enjoy what it has to offer. Because what it offers is still pretty good and pretty interesting. As adaptations of the source material, Persona 4 the Animation and Persona 4 the Golden Animation are pretty good as far as video game adaptations stand. They get their characters, storyline, and some of the gameplay mechanics done respectfully, and while they may not entirely be perfect, they are still pretty damn good for the video game adaptations that they are. And without further ado, I have to say, go watch them, and obviously go watch Persona 4 the animation first before you go watch the golden animation, like I explained before. And well, the original anime is available from Sentai Filmworks in America, and the golden animation is available from Aniplex of America in America. And both anime are available from Madman Entertainment here in Australia. And they're both up for streaming on Anime Lab and available on DVD and Blu-ray, you get the point. So yeah, that's pretty much done for this review, and without further ado, I have to go back into the TV world and take care of all this stuff. You know, because it's kind of raining outside and I like to fight some shadows and unleash my persona for fun, you know. So without further ado, until next time guys, cheerio. Alright, I'm back. I have my tarot card, and since there's no shadows around, this would be a very good time to summon my persona. So, alright. Hey there, John. You. What do you want? Why don't you use that persona on me? After all, I am a shadow of your true self.